Walter Herschel Beach was born on January 30th, 1891 in Pulaski, Tennessee, to Cornelius and Tommy Hay Beach. He grew up on a farm with his 5 siblings. Like Christian Sandvig in this week's reading, How Technical is Technology Research? Walter Beach did not have the proper degrees for his field, and when necessary relied on the expertise of others. Declaring that he did not need a university education, Beach told his parents he could learn everything he needed to know and hire engineers to do the rest. In World War I, Beach joined the aviation section of the United States Army Signal Corps and was assigned to Kelly Field in Texas, where he became a flight instructor using his pilot and engine experience. He continued to serve his country as a flight instructor until his honorable discharge in 1920. In 1921, Walter Beach became a test pilot and demonstrator for the E.M. Laird Aviation Company, and in 1924 he started the Travel Air Manufacturing Company with Clyde Cessna, who was the vice president, and Lloyd Sturman, who was the company's chief engineer. By 1929, the Travel Air Manufacturing Company became the world's largest producer of monoplane and biplane commercial aircraft. In 1930, Walter Beach married his secretary and office manager, Olive Ann Miller. In that same year, he merged Travel Air Manufacturing Company with the Curtiss Wright Corporation, becoming the vice president of sales. However, in 1923, he quit to start his own company with his wife. This company became known as the Beach Aircraft Company. Walter was the entrepreneur, pilot, and the visionary. Olive Ann was the finances and the management. Together they made the perfect team and turned Beach Aircraft Company into a success. Olive Ann described Walter as the designer, builder, and promoter, while she did all the work. In 1932, the first plane produced by Beach Aircraft Company, the Beechcraft Model 17 Staggerwing, made its debut. The plane takes its name from its unusual wings, where they were reversed compared to other planes. In 1937, the company's second plane, the twin-engine Beechcraft Model 18, or the Twin Beach, was produced and became the standard of the industry. By 1938, the United States military had begun to place orders at Beach Aircraft Company. During World War II, Beach halted all commercial production, and the Staggerwings began to be produced as personal transport for the United States Army and the United States Navy. Beach also came up with the idea to produce a plywood airplane named the Beechcraft AT-10 to train the Army's new pilots. Roughly 90% of the American bombers and navigators who served in World War II were trained in Beach airplanes. The company produced over 7,400 military-grade Beechcraft airplanes for the war effort and won 5 Army-Navy E awards for their efficient wartime production. World War II would end in 1945, and with the war's end came an end to wartime production. To transition, Walter came up with a new design for a single-engine airplane, the Model 35 Bonanza, distinguished by its V-tail. This new plane was extremely popular, and roughly 1,000 had been manufactured and delivered over an 8-month period. In 1949, Beach came up with a plan for 2 new airplanes. The Beechcraft Mentor was a single-engine training plane that was produced for the United States Navy and the newly created United States Air Force. The Beechcraft Model 50 Twin Bonanza became popular and was adopted by the United States Army as the L-23 Seminole, which saw service throughout the Korean War. On November 29, 1950, Walter Herschel Beach passed away due to a sudden heart attack, and his wife, Olive Ann Beach, took over the running of the company, which still exists today under the name Beechcraft. Walter Beach's story reflects the demographic shift in the post-war economy. According to our reading, Why Indeed in America by Paul M. Romer, resource abundance in the United States interacted with scale to create a technological lead in manufacturing that persisted well into the 20th century. This was also true for the aviation industry. During World War II, there were no commercial flights, and aircraft was only produced for the military. After the war, people had money to spend, and flying commercially could resume. The United States Air Force was created in 1947, and they needed aircraft. The post-war years also saw general aviation grow to become a valuable asset. Thousands of former military pilots became the market for the new light aircraft. The GI Bill of Rights allowed veterans to take flight training at government expense. This not only resulted in thousands of veterans becoming pilots, but also in the creation of hundreds of flying schools being opened. The general aviation manufacturers, still led by Piper, Cessna, and Beech, built aircraft for flight training and for private ownership. The growth in general aviation also included new airports, training for mechanics and technicians, and storage for these airplanes. The post-war years were a time of economic growth, and Beech aircraft industry was a part of that growth thanks to Walter Beech and his vision.